Hello, my name is Wesley, and this is my digital literacy narrative. I grew up in a small town of about 2,000 people in Clarendon, Vermont, where there wasn't much going on. Most people in town are either into hunting or camping, neither of which I had any interest in. So, I used technology to entertain myself for a large part of my childhood. But back then, it was much different than it is today. There were very few cell phones, no smart watches, no smart TVs. So, needless to say, not everyone had a computer and they were more of a delicacy. The computers that did exist back then are a far cry from the polished computers of today. In fact, most of the computers back then had less processing power than the cell phones most of us carry around today. The first computer I ever used was a Windows PC running the operating system Windows 98. At this time, Windows operating system was ubiquitous and ran most of the computers worldwide. So, when Windows 98 was released, it was at the forefront of technology and was considered cutting edge. According to Windows 98 Unleashed by Paul McFreeds, Windows 98 redefined possibilities with customizable desktop, DVD drive, and scrolling mouse wheels. All of these features gave the operating system more broad appeal and vastly improved the user experience. But most importantly, Windows 98 featured a new improved version of Paint, which could be used to draw immature pictures to your heart's content. All of these state-of-the-art features could be purchased on a PC monitor printer combo for just over $1,000. From there, Windows released ME, NT 3.1, 2000, and on to XP, many of which I have familiarity with. My digital literacy expanded as I spent more time on computers and gained understanding of programs such as PowerPoint, Outlook, Word, and so on. The 1990s was not a period ruled exclusively by the Microsoft Colossus. The 90s were a breeding ground for all things tech. The 1990s saw the release of the World Wide Web, SMS text messaging, DVDs, the Sony PlayStation, second-gen cell phones, flash drives, MP3 players, and most importantly, the Nintendo 64, and simultaneously the destruction of my grades. The 1990s was somewhat of a technological big bang. At this point, I was wholly immersed and loved everything being released. I was riding the tech train, playing all the video games, owning the newest MP3 players, surfing the World Wide Web, and I was wholly technologically literate. This continued for the next 15 or so years as I got further and further in. Before I knew it, TVs got skinnier, smarter, and then were connected to the internet. MP3 players were soon near monopolized by Apple and played videos and had apps on them. And the internet had practically morphed into a necessity. Technology had turned from a fun pastime to a full-time job. As the years rolled on, it became harder and harder to go anywhere and do anything without being anchored to a cell phone or a piece of technology. For me, this all became too much. Text messaging was replacing genuine human interaction, and amazing moments spent with friends turned into just another cell phone video. An entire generation was being consumed by technology. We began to be bombarded with statistics warning us of the potential harm of overexposure of cell phones, television, iPads, and computers. One statistic from the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention reports that children spend, on average, 7.5 hours in front of screens and computers daily. That's almost a full-time job using tech. Studies conducted worldwide, like the ones by Martin Kay in 2011 at Western Australia Department of Sport and Recreation, found that excessive screen time predicted increased loneliness, depression, withdrawal, anxiety, attention problems, and aggression. For me, this meant less quality interpersonal time with those I care about. It means not being able to enjoy the moment I'm in without a screen in front of my face. For these reasons, I made the conscious decision to limit my screen time. For it, I feel less anxious, I sleep better at night, and I have gained a stronger appreciation for the world around me. And although I'm now technologically proficient, it's my time not in front of the screen that I appreciate the most.